Hey everybody, this is Bills by the Numbers presented by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Coming up, Josh Allen ran for an awful lot of yards again last season. Will this be the year that he's not as frequent a runner? We investigate. We've heard Josh talk about using the middle of the field more in the passing game. How will that happen? We check in with Bills quarterbacks coach Joe Brady for answers. And can Steve guess which QBs sprinted the most in the league last season? Oh, it's going to be a good numbers game. Steve, let's line up in the pistol. Boy, are we happy to have you here with us on Bills by the Numbers. Bills Wall of Famer Steve Tasker, Bills insider Chris Brown with you. And we open this week's episode with some interesting next-gen stats as it pertains to Buffalo quarterback Josh Allen. We all know that Josh is a quarterback who will take off and run for yardage when the opportunity presents itself. He also will use his feet to extend plays and gain positive yardage even when the design play breaks down. What you may not know is in each of the last 3 seasons, Josh Allen's total ground covered on the field of play has increased considerably. We'll get to those numbers in a second. But Steve, what is your initial reaction to knowing the use of Allen's legs has increased precipitously in each of the last 3 seasons?
I'm shocked.
You're shocked?
I'm shocked.
Why?
I thought they had gotten away from a lot of the running plays that they called, and particularly in the last 3 seasons. He first came in, it was drop back, look at one read, and then take off. It seemed like he ran a lot.
Yeah.
Particularly even in the passing game. Now you see him throwing the football, which tends to make you think, well, he's not running so much. He's throwing the football. I think one possible reason that he's moving so much is he's hanging onto the football longer in the pocket and moving. That all counts. It's all done with the GPS thing. So if he's got the ball in his hands and he's moving around, for instance, the 10-second play he took in New England for the throwaway touchdown early on, it took 10 seconds, and he's moving around and
covering ground
and all of that. He had a 19 he had a 26-yard run in that same drive. All of that goes in, so it's not just called plays. I am surprised. I think it seems like it's less running for him because we have seen him take less risks. You don't see him, it's like, wow, you see him dive in, lead with his head, or a quarterback power sweep. There's none of that. There's more of every once in a while, a 9-yard or a 10-yard scramble with a slide at the end, and you sit and say, well, no harm, no foul, and you kind of write it off as an easy play, and it doesn't go into your mental catalog of how many times he's run.
Well, for a perfect example is against the Chiefs last year. He's under pressure. His first read isn't there. He rolls out to the right as he does so often. He's almost at the sideline when he uncorks the ball over Daniel Sorensen to a wide-open Dawson Knox, who then runs the remaining 15 yards for a touchdown. Well, he probably covered, that's half the width of the field.
Right.
So he's talking about 25, 28 yards that he ran on that play. It wasn't for any positive rushing yardage, but he still covered 28 yards of ground. That's just one play. So, he has done more of that, I would say, in the last 2 years because I think more than ever, he simply does not want to accept the fact that we're going to have to take a loss on this play.
And I think
he will hold out for as long as he can to try to make something good happen, and often it takes his legs to move around to buy that time.
And I think the fact that he holds on to the ball a little longer also speaks to the poise he has with it. The success he has. He's hanging on to the ball a long time, but he's not taking losses.
Or monster shots.
He's making something out of nothing, even on broken plays, and I think that's a plus as well.
So now for the numbers, as we do here on Bills by the Numbers. In 2019, according to Next Gen Stats, this is distance traveled while on the field of play during live action. Okay,
when the ball between whistles.
Yes,
when the ball's live.
So in 2019, according to Next Gen Stats, he traveled 10,601 yards during play. In 2020. That number went up to 11,844 yards while in play. And last season, taking into account the extra regular season game, 13,093 yards covered while in play. No wonder this guy told us this year in training camp he needed a break after last season because of the wear and tear on his body. Now, even more important, his top sprinting speed run totals also increased. In 2019, 2,080 yards. This is distance traveled at greater than 12 miles per hour. In 2020, a 10% increase to 2,291 yards. And then in 2021, a 27% increase, 3,160 yards sprinting in the 2021 season. How much do we attribute this, Steve, to Allen's burning desire to never let a play die? And how much do we attribute these scrambling totals to pass protection or what was, for a time last season, a very limited rushing attack?
I think some of it's pass protection, some of it is him not. It's all of those things combined. Because
it's probably a little bit of everything.
They're all encompassed in that number. Everything he does is encompassed. But
what do you think carries the day,
here's the thing. Because he was sprinting, we're talking about sprinting. That means you got the ball and you're running from violence. Yeah. I think it comes from mostly scrambles when the play is dead and he takes off. Because when you see him run it, they're not designing these runs for him to go 65 yards. It's a 2-yard run. Mm-hmm. It's a short yardage run. That's when they call it, or a goal line run. But when he sprints, like in the playoff game against New England, in the first drive, he snaps off a 26-yard run. He's running full bore for 26 yards, flat out. That's what I think it is. I think it's when the play breaks down.
The
broken plays are when he really breaks off the big runs. Because when it's a called quarterback run, they're looking to get a first down or get a few yards and get down.
Yeah.
Those broken plays are when he breaks the back of the defense and snaps loose.
Tampa Bay comes to mind also. He had a lot of runs like that, including the one he hurt his foot on when he ran about 30-something yards and then got tackled while going out of bounds from behind and kind of injured his foot. He finished the game. But, yeah, he's sprinting and going as fast as he possibly can. What do we foresee going forward, Steve, with a new offensive coordinator, and could Ken Dorsey's play calling change Josh Allen's propensity to use his legs?
Yeah, I don't think too much will change because, like we said, so much of it is on plays where the defense has got him or somebody doesn't get separation, breakdown in pass protection, dropping back to pass, and it's not there. And because of his ability, he's a better athlete than most, if not all, the defensive linemen chasing him. He's going to outrun him and buy some time. And because the defensive backfield, and we've seen it versus the Bills' defense, the longer they have to cover, the more space is created. I mean, the whole field starts to expand. And with Josh's arm, nobody's going to leave anybody uncovered 55 yards down the field thinking he's not going to throw it there because he can. So there's going to be some space opened up when he does that. I don't think that's going to change at all. I don't think Ken Dorsey's going to put as a linchpin of the offense Josh Allen with the ball tucked under his arm running it. It's in there, no question. They've got a couple of things, but it's all, like I said, it's going to be short yardage or goal line situations where Josh carries the ball deliberately. The rest of it is all going to be scrambles, and I think that's why I don't think those numbers will change.
I don't think they will either. I don't know that they'll increase.
Right.
3,160, that's a
I don't think there'll be any kind of transformational
number of
difference.
Sprinting yards.
There won't be any transformational difference. No, it'll be much of what we've seen.
Yeah, because I just think his mental makeup is, I am not accepting the fact that we're going to take a negative on this play. He will do anything and everything in his power to make a positive play, even when all hope is lost and the general design of whatever was called has gone up in smoke. And more often than not, the way he fixes that is by using his legs to buy time and make a play off script. We'll expand this discussion in just a bit when we have Bills quarterbacks coach Joe Brady join us to talk about his new role with the Bills, Josh Allen, and what the offense could look like this season. But right now, we dive into the numbers game. And, Steve, we just covered how much ground Josh Allen covers when sprinting on game days. So your challenge here is to name me 7 of the top 10 quarterbacks in sprint yards from the 2021 season. They have to go over 12 miles per hour. So these are yards covered by quarterbacks at greater than 12 miles per hour and who had the highest total of said sprint yards.
How many do I have to get?
7 out of 10.
All right. Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray, number 4 on the list, 2,453 sprint yards last season.
Josh.
Josh, number 2, 3,160 sprint yards. 2 for 2. This shouldn't be tough for you.
Mahomes.
Mahomes is number 3 on the list, 25-44.
I'll say Lamar.
Lamar, number 5, 2,381 sprint yards, despite just playing in 12 games, by the way.
Right.
So still number 5 on the list, which is pretty impressive.
I'm going to start thinking about some younger guy, like who? What about the kid in Philly? What's his name? Who's the quarterback in Philly?
Oklahoma product, formerly of Alabama,
I don't know
transferred.
what's his name. Oh yeah, Jalen Hurts.
There you go. Number 1.
Really?
3,635 yards.
Pulled that one out, didn't I? Even though I couldn't remember.
You're
that.
really proud of yourself.
What? How many have I got left?
So you've got 5 so far. You actually nailed the top 5. You got the entire top 5, so just get 2 more and you're good with me.
I will say...
This is where it gets a little tougher because you got the usual suspects. Now you got to get some of those guys that may not be
Wilson.
Russell Wilson not in the top 10. He's run a little bit less since he hit age 30.
I'll say...
I would encourage you to stay young.
Yeah. Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence, number 6.
I got it.
2,341. I asked you for 7 of the top 10.
No,
Let's see if you can get number 7.
6 of the top 10.
No, I said 7. Last week was 6. It's too easy for you. I'm up in the ante. I need 7.
Zach Wilson.
Zach Wilson not on the list at the top
God,
10.
He's killing me.
He took too many sacks for a loss.
Who would it be, man?
Stay young.
It's not going to be too, I will say, the guy from Chicago.
Justin Fields, number 7. Steve, you got them all. Top 7. 1 through 7. That's a banner showing for one Steve Tasker in the numbers game.
Thank you for being here for my personal record.
Number 8, 9, and 10. Did you have a miss? Yeah, you had 2 misses, I think. 8, 9, and 10. Taylor Heineke of Washington, Sam Darnold from Carolina, Baker Mayfield from Cleveland. Steve, 4 of the 5 quarterbacks taken in round 1 of the 2018 draft are on this list. Josh Rosen, the only non-participant because he really doesn't play.
Right.
But listen to this. Class of 17, Patrick Mahomes. Class of 18, Allen, Jackson, Darnold, Mayfield. Class of 19, Kyler Murray. Class of 20, Jalen Hurts. Class of 21, Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. The only outlier is Taylor Heineke, class of 15. It's all new guys running around.
Yeah.
And that's the way the league is going. So you better have one if you don't. All right, good job on the numbers game this week. Time to tell you that right now, new customers can get their first bet risk-free up to $1,000. Just sign up today by going to sportsbook.fanduel.com or by downloading the FanDuel Sportsbook app. FanDuel Sportsbook, an official partner of the Buffalo Bills. After a successful run at LSU that included a national title and a stint with the Carolina Panthers as offensive coordinator, it's time for us to catch up with Buffalo's new quarterbacks coach, Joe Brady. All right, Coach, so we've been talking about Josh logging more rushing yards each of the last few years, more distance covered with his legs on the field, you know, the whole next-gen stat stuff with the tracking devices and whatever. Whether he's extending a play or declaring himself as a runner, it doesn't seem to matter. Is that just who Josh is, so trying to protect him as a coach is almost a fruitless pursuit, or are there ways to protect him in terms of wear and tear a bit?
Yeah, I think, Dorse would have a lot better understanding with that. I haven't fully gotten to the game elements of it of, hey, Josh, you got to make sure you go down there. But I do think in practice in these situations you do see him sliding a little more, even though he knows he's not going to get touched. But it is the football player in him, and, we don't want to take that out of him. He has to be smart with it. If you do got to scramble, there's the sideline and whatnot. I think the competitive juices come out, especially at the end of the season, as we see. But, it's a constant thing we're talking to him about. But, he knows he has to protect his body as well.
The other thing that's interesting about it is he's probably, Steve and I talk about it on the show all the time, he's probably one of the best red zone running threats in the entire league. That is a dimension and an asset that I got to believe you guys as offensive coaches do not want to just say, well, we don't want to do that because it's lethal, and it's a major headache for defenses, isn't it?
No, absolutely. I mean, he's not a small person. I mean, I laugh not even necessarily running the football, but in practice out here, they can touch. You know, you're not sacking the quarterback. There's a lot of times the defensive line, they're like, oh, that would have been a sack, and they barely got a hand on him. Like, he's not going to go down that easily.
Right.
So, you get a guy like that with the ball in his hands. I mean, it is scary. It's tough to not want to do that.
Josh hinted at wanting to get more production in the passing game in the middle of the field. He feels is like a passing, at least this is what came across when he was talking to us, he feels like as a passing offense, they've been very effective the last few years outside the numbers. But how do you manufacture that in games when you're not sure what you're going to get from the opposing defense? That's great to say, but at the same time, you're game planning for an opponent. You don't know what they might throw at you, especially the first couple of series.
Right.
So how, as coaches and players, do you try to be mindful of, hey, let's try to get some more production in between the numbers while taking into account, hey, we got to see what the defense is throwing at us first, too.
Right. I think the most important thing is just taking what the defense gives you.
Right.
If they're going to give you, throws on the outside, let's take it. And then when it comes to if it's available on the inside, we just, a big point of emphasis right now is our ball placement and making sure that we're putting the ball where it needs to be, especially over the middle, so that our guys can, do a better job this year with rack.
Right.
And so that's a big point of emphasis with that. So I know Josh is continuing to work on that, wanting that. But right now we're just stressing, hey, be smart, not conservative, take what the defense gives you, and just continue to be Josh Allen.
Now, if I have my years lined up right, you had Joe Burrow when you were at LSU, and you guys did really well. You won a national title down there. Do Joe and Josh, I know coaches don't like to do comparisons, so I'm going to ask it from this perspective. Do Joe and Josh have similar approaches to the game? I'm not looking at skill sets here. Just approach to the game and how they kind of get ready and prepare. And
I'm excited to start to get into the process of a game week with Josh.
Okay.
To see the preparation, to see all that kind of goes into it. But just the mindset and the recall and the preparation, I would say all great quarterbacks do an elite job at that. And Joe was very detail oriented. Joe, come game time, he knew everything that was going to happen, and I doubt Josh is any differently.
Gotcha. Case Keenum said the other day he likes to be able to work through the tough looks and pressures and coverages that your defense gives these guys in practice here in the training camp setting. Do you guys? He just wants to be on the same page with his receivers, and he said the receivers are an extension of the same page you try to stay on with the QBs because you guys give them so much freedom to do a lot of stuff. You don't need to give me details here, but I'm curious what kind of freedoms the receivers have within the scope of this offense.
Yeah, it's such a fun offense to be a part of, especially from a skill position standpoint, because it's not a very black and white. It's not a look at the drawing and it has to look, you're running just like that line on the picture. And so from a quarterback standpoint, making sure we know who the receivers are in terms of their indicators, their movement skills. Hey, Josh has such a great understanding of some of the guys he's been playing with. Like you watch a route with Steph, you see as soon as he turns a shoulder this way, all right, ball's coming out. Like he kind of has that feeling with Gabe. And so a guy like Case and Bark, working with some of the younger guys, really to get an understanding of, hey, how's this guy going to run this route?
Gotcha.
We have routes in the offense that the guys can make decisions based on certain coverages, and so making sure we're on the same page from that standpoint.
So in a big way, it's more about we don't care how you get to your landmarks as long as you get there at the right time and that kind of thing, or is it even more open than that?
Well, no, I mean it's place specific. Chad does such a great job with those guys, allowing them to be themselves and not coaching everyone exactly the same, and knowing that there's different skill sets.
Right.
And so it's us understanding and just making sure we're on the same page. As a guy like Isaiah McKenzie might run a route differently than Gabe Davis, but they're going to get to the same spot, just the timing of it and whatnot. And so us just making sure from our footwork standpoint and just getting a feel of it. And for a guy like Case, who hasn't been in this type of offense before, it's been great for him to, because the question that he's having, it is different from a footwork standpoint, from a timing and all that, but he's soaking it up. He's loving it.
Yeah, he said the other day, I'm all in with this offensive system. And he also was saying there are some unique things that this offense has that no other offense has. Again, I'm not looking for details, but is that rooted in Josh's unique skill set? Is that a big reason why there are some unique elements to this offensive system?
I like to think so. I think a lot of it, there's not a throw he can't make. But also, we have such a vast amount of like the differences in the skill positions we have in I think Dorse and going back to Coach Dable, but that room, there's no idea that's not a good idea. It's worth trying, and I think a guy like Josh is open to that and seeing it, and I think the offense kind of just takes off from there. And so it's definitely different than like Case, even myself, that's been a part of, and so that's what's been refreshing and exciting for us.
Last week at the blue and red practice at the stadium, I know Coach tries to replicate game day as best as possible for the players and for the coaches, and knowing that you're one of the new guys on the block with the staff, how did that go for you in terms of the operation with the entire crew and everything?
I thought, look, it was fun from a standpoint of just seeing our offense, and you work so many situations in practice that it was fun to get the quarterbacks in a rhythm like a game, and then just the mindset of having coaches in the box. I haven't been on the field in a while.
Yeah.
We've been calling games in the box, so just being there, seeing it from a different standpoint, being able to communicate with the quarterbacks and whatever Dorse needs, and so it was great that it was kind of a trial run, and I'm excited to see now on Saturday being able to, after a drive, be able to go down and go through the pictures and just keep getting that routine going.
So, Coach Dorsey said he is still working through whether to be upstairs or down. He says he's been on the sideline for a long time, but, he was up. I imagine he'll probably switch it back and forth and see what he likes the best. You, as a coordinator, you were upstairs. What did you like about being up there?
Yeah, so my first year I was up, and then I went down towards the end of the season.
Oh, you did go down,
and then I was up all of last year. There's a lot of pros to both. You have the energy downstairs. You're able to, when you're down on the field, you can talk to your guys. You can get a vibe. You can feel them. When you're upstairs, the game slows down. You really see it all. You don't necessarily always need to look at the pictures to see what happened. So there's a lot to both of them, and I think a lot of it is just making sure you have trust in your coaches that if you are upstairs, to be able to relay what's downstairs, and if you're calling it from the field, that your eyes upstairs are just an extension of you. And so I think both of them he'll be fine whichever one he goes with.
And then just to the path of the play call, if Dorse ends up going upstairs, that's coming through you then out to the field, right?
No, so they actually fixed that
directly.
a couple years ago. They changed that rule where now you can call it from the box.
Okay.
So it makes life even easier from that standpoint.
All right, perfect. Well, Joe, we look forward to seeing you getting up and rolling with this staff. It's very exciting. I know people are pumped to have you here and being part of this offensive staff, so good luck in season 1, man.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, that's Joe Brady, Bills quarterbacks coach here on Bills by the Numbers. All right, it's that time of the show for our one burning question. Steve, Josh Allen will have more or less than 763 rushing yards this season. That was his total last year. More or less than 763.
I think he'll have less. I think he'll have less.
Because?
I think they'll be much more successful having other guys run the football this year than they were last year.
Yeah.
He's going to have he'll have scramble yards and do all that stuff.
Red zone
running and all that, but he's not going to be needed in the run game like he has been. And I think because of the fact that they're going to run the ball more effectively, the passing game will be there. He won't have as many broken plays passing. I think that in and of itself we're going to see him on his feet in the pocket after the play is over more often this year.
I think some of what we talked about on our daily show, One Bills Live this past week, concerning coverages and pulling a safety down into the box because the running game's more effective. This passing game against single high safety, I mean, it's going to be lethal if teams want to do that. But if you can't stop Buffalo's run game, which is yet to be seen, but I think it can be more diversified with the addition of James Cook. Maybe Duke Johnson is a part of that equation, along with Singletary and perhaps Moss. Yeah, I think Josh's rushing total should go down. I don't think it's going to go down to any great degree. I think he still might be around 550, 600, but 763, that was a fat number last year when he was carrying the rushing load in the first half of the season.
Think about this, a confluence of events where you've got a better running game this year through the Buffalo Bills offense. You pull a second safety into the box where they have to go 7 in the box instead of 6 in the box. When you've got 3 wides on, you got 3 corners and a single safety, and that's your secondary.
Oof.
Now, add to that a point of emphasis where there's no more illegal contact down the field, and you're looking at some separation that's really going to be significant for Josh. I said it. There's going to be a handful of guys in this league, not just Josh Allen, but Justin Herbert, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers,
Matthew Stafford.
Mahomes. So
maybe even Cousins.
Right. There's going to be a group of guys that throw for 5,000 yards this year, not just one, not just two. There's going to be a group of guys that do it because of the confluence of events where, a team like Buffalo, gets an extra bump in their offense with their offensive line and their running game, and all of a sudden the team becomes their ability to throw it becomes enhanced.
Yeah. And extra free yardage, free first downs from that illegal contact penalty
exactly.
if it's called as stringently as we anticipate.
More chances at the kick in the can because you're going to get a free first down.
Fresh set
more
of
plays.
We leave you now with our closing figures. Not only has Josh Allen's total sprint yardage and total ground covered during play increased each of the last 3 years, so too has his top speed. In 2019, his top speed was 19.31 miles per hour. That ranked 14th fastest among quarterbacks. In 2020, it went up to 19.39 miles per hour. That ranked 15th among QBs. But in 2021, Josh Allen topped out at 20.03 miles per hour. It ranked 6th fastest in the league among quarterbacks. So he's not just getting better as a passer each year, he's also getting faster. Amazing.
There you go.
That'll do it for this episode. Be sure to subscribe on whatever podcast platform you utilize. And remember, when you need to know about the Bills, you need to check Bills by the Numbers. For Steve Tasker, I'm Chris Brown. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week, everybody.